It is 9:30, time to talk a little sports. KCIM Sports Rewind. Mason Nealon showing up early this morning, freaking me out a little bit because we're so used to you guys showing up at like 30 seconds before we go on the air. What do you have to say for yourself, Mason Nealon, being here so early?
I think it was only like 5 minutes that I was in the door. So I know that was early.
Well, that's overachieving on Sports Rewind. And then Jeff Blankman, you showed up, even early today, too. Kind of like, what is going on? It's like you guys are organized today.
I walked in a little after 9 and then came in here about 10 after 9 after I printed a few things off. So
yeah, we had to commiserate a little bit because we got some retirement news coming up here on Rewind that none of us are happy about.
Happy for him.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Happy for them, sure.
It's
now my least favorite person in sports right there, that person, and we'll talk about them in a minute because, dang it, you shouldn't be leaving us like that.
I agree.
But basketball championship last night, won by the Florida Gators, and first of all, we have a mixed bag of results for one sports director, Jeff Blankman.
Yes. I did not win the Rewind bracket challenge that we did with all the coaches. So I want to congratulate Todd Bontrager, who won the boys' side of things. But and John, you finished 9th. I have to give a shout out. He's listening specifically this morning. Nick Brinks led all of us radio guys with a 4th place finish. Tom Hawkap was 7th. Former assistant sports director Casey Miners finished 6th. John again was 9th. Mason edges me out with 14th place, and I finished in 15th. So that's kind of the radio guys. Here's the list though, real quick. Todd Bontrager, Janie Stolt, Katie Cook, Nick Brinks, Doug Waninger, Casey Miners, Tom Hawkap, Darren Miller, last year's champion, John, then Justin Yetmar, Ashley Kaler, Clive Clark, Derek Tigeson, Mason Nealon, myself, Kurt Bada, Matt Wilkin, Randy Beeson, and Sean Minahan tied for 18th. And it was Jason Phillips, Gene Rasmussen, Tom Peterson, Joshua Cervini, Keith Wagner, and Caitlin McAllister. And I haven't mentioned our guy down at the bottom yet. It's the same guy
that we're going to be talking about here in a minute.
Yeah, and he finished at the bottom a year ago. The kids in his classes enjoy looking at that last place toilet trophy on his desk so much, he decided to keep it this year.
Did he intentionally tank just for the draft pick?
No. I will give him a little bit of comfort here, though, that I was talking to him last night, and he said that, he goes, you texted me on that Thursday morning when the picks had to be in at like 9 and said, hey, are you getting in this year? He goes, I didn't want to. He goes, I just went in and picked all Big 12 teams to win.
Well, that's a surefire recipe on how to finish last.
Yep. So, but, and I do want to congratulate, we also did a women's pool. And Janie Stolk, the Arweva girls coach, was our champion there. And Caitlin McAllister, Coon Rapids Bayard girls coach, finished in last on that one. We haven't mentioned who finished last on the boys' side, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, we'll get to that. What I take away from is that I beat both of you guys. So.
Yes. Yeah, you win the rewind room.
That is not bragging, folks. Believe me. It was an interesting game. Florida Gators looked like they were dead in the water.
Yeah.
Houston had it won and just could not pull it off. So that leads to our trivia question of the day. The trivia question is, of course, Houston has lost 3 times now in somewhat heartbreaking fashion. Who were the other 2 teams that Houston lost to in the finals?
NC State, of course, and then I was thinking, without looking it up, I think it was Georgetown, if I remember correctly.
Nailed it right there. All right, my second trivia question.
Okay.
Here we go. Todd Golden, head coach of the Florida Gators, 42 years old is all.
Young guy.
Yeah, we all saw him on TV. And who is? Is that the student manager, for God's sake?
He looks like a player. Yeah,
he does. He is he's the youngest coach since who? Who was the previous youngest coach to win
a national
before Todd
title?
Golden? And you're going to kick yourself when I give you the answer on this.
Yeah,
one.
I'm sure.
Famous head coach. Mason, any guesses? This is long before you were born.
Let me think. Really old coaches here.
And we've already mentioned their team. I'll give you that much of a clue.
Okay. John Thompson?
Nope, not John Thompson. Got to go to the other team.
Okay. It wasn't Houston, so Florida. Billy Donovan.
Nope, not Billy Donovan. You mentioned him earlier as having lost or having beat Houston in the final, and it was
Georgetown.
Nope, it wasn't the Georgetown coach. It wasn't John Thompson.
Oh, is it Phil Knight?
NC State.
Jeff Honnold has a has a pick. He spelled it horribly, but he's correct.
Jimmy V?
Jim Valvano.
Okay.
There you go. He was 35.
He was 35 when he was running around the court looking for somebody to hug?
Yeah, he was. That was a crazy scene, when he was running around and it was like, I'll hug you. No, wait, I'll hug you. And nobody would hug him at the end.
Do you know the story on that?
Not the total story.
Okay, so him and Sidney Lowe had hugged after every one of their wins in the tournament. He was running around looking for Sidney, who was being hugged by all of his teammates and was in the middle of the pack, and he couldn't see him. So he just finally went and jumped on a group of players, and he was running around specifically looking to hug Sidney Lowe. Yes.
That guy, I mean, his energy was just crazy good. I remember Jimmy V.
Jimmy V.
And, of course, the speech he gave at the ESPYs Awards when he was diagnosed with terminal cancer and all of that. So, yeah, Jim Valvano, 35. He was the youngest coach, and now Todd Golden at 42 is the youngest since Jimmy V.
Wow, so, I didn't realize that Jimmy V was that young.
Yeah. High school football schedules are out for this.
Yeah, they are. Do you want me to run through them real quick?
No.
Okay.
We just want to mention it. Okay. Because we want to get to our other topic that we have going on here.
Yeah. Couple of things I will mention is I look at Carroll's schedule and I'm like, oof. They go Humboldt, at Lewis Central, Harlan in 3 straight weeks. So
all 3 road trips?
Nope, not road trips. 2 of them are home with Humboldt and Harlan, but you get probably the 3 other teams in that district, or whatever that are going to be contenders. All boom, boom, boom. So that's kind of a
and
tough
when does that fall during the schedule?
The Humboldt game is week number 3, so it'd be 3, 4, and 5.
So at least you get them in the heart of your schedule there. You're not playing them right out of the chute, and you're not playing them late when you have the potential of being beat up.
Yep. For Kemper, I like their schedule. They get most of their big games at home. Probably their toughest road trip might be Esterville, Lincoln Central at the end, but they get OABCIG at home. I love this, that South Central Calhoun is playing IKM Manning and East Sac County. Them and East Sac are in the same district, and East Sac County is playing IKM Manning and South Central Calhoun. So
nice.
I love
those matchups.
Much. Absolutely. And then all 4 of our 8-man schools are all in the same district this year. First time we've had that in over a decade. So we'll get the Coon Glidden, Coon Audubon, Coon Arweva, and all those matchups this year. And I'm looking forward to seeing some games. I haven't seen Audubon Arweva play in a long time. I just remember those teams, a few years ago where they were probably like number 2 and number 3 in the state and had them played just to get into the playoffs. So.
Yeah, that's going to make for a fun football season. And
yes.
Each and every week there's going to be a great matchup in between the 4 of them.
There is, yeah. And I'll actually start working on our broadcast schedule here soon for the fall now that the schedules are out. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy that you can actually start working on that.
Yes.
Considering we just started the spring sports schedule as well. So, all right, let's get to the retirement news. You sent me the email, forwarded it to me. Corey Meyer from Coon Rapids Baird, who, by the way, back-to-back toilet trophies, so way to go, Corey. Way to underachieve in your last 2 tournaments.
Yeah. Hard to believe that he finished last in our bracket here on Rewind Challenge 2 years in a row. But, 19 years as the head boys basketball coach at Coon. All-time leader in wins down there. Took them to a state boys basketball tournament a few years ago, and had a team this year that was good enough to be there, and ran into a Woodbine team that was there a year ago and performed really well. They won the Rolling Valley Conference this year. That was the first time since like the 90s that they had won a conference championship. But highly respected among his peers. For the way he game plans and the way he coaches and the way he goes about things and the way he runs this program. And I think loved by the kids down there and going to be missed. I know I told him last night and he goes, Jeff, I'm not moving. I'm like, I know, but it's going to not be as much fun not getting to watch the teams that he coaches play because I have that much respect for him on the bench and the type of person that he is. So.
Yeah, Mason, I don't know if you had a chance to see him at all this past year.
Yeah, me and Jeff went down and watched 2 of the Coon games, and I will say he's probably one of the better coaches I've talked to, more so professionalism, like how the way he conducted everything, and also as a person, because he kind of went out of his way to talk to me when it was my first time being there and introducing himself and everything. So, losing a great coach in our area.
Yeah, he is just absolutely a better person than he even is a coach. So, again, he's leaving a team that is loaded.
That is going to be loaded. So
Corey, you're stepping away at this time. Wow. Again, Tim Bell kind of said the same thing. You mentioned it this morning, Jeff.
Yeah, Tim always said he wasn't going to leave the cupboard bare for the next person. He wanted them to walk in with a team that would have a chance to be really, really good, and I think that's exactly what Corey's doing. In the email that he sent out yesterday and stuff, that he just said, after 19 years, I'm ready to give it up to a younger, more energetic group of coaches, and stuff that I think he's, I know we're a part of it. Coaches, they get these long road trips and then they come back and they've got to, like for him, he'll rewatch the film and stat it, and then he has to send it off to us so we can write our stories. And, when you drive from Coon to West Harrison or something like that, and then your hour-and-a-half bus trip back, and then you're getting home at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and you got to break down film, then you're up bright and early in the morning. That's sometimes I say it, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but, people can be really hard on coaches. They don't realize how much work and energy and stuff that these people put in behind the scenes to have teams ready and do all of the things that need to be done to be successful. And he's one of those guys. And I think it just got to the point where it was time, where he just felt like it was a lot and needed to be a step away.
It was always fun when I did broadcast games when you had Coon Rapids playing Arweva with Corey and Tim Bell on the bench, or Corey and IKM Manning.
Yes, with Keith.
Playing with Keith Wagner.
Yep.
Yeah, those were just such great games. Those teams were prepared.
Yes.
And it was a battle of wits between those two. I mean, it was fun to watch, knowing those two coaches.
Yes.
And all of that. It made it even more special.
I'm sure he's getting pounded with a lot of messages this morning, but I know I had a few other area coaches message me this morning after I put it on our morning sports that he had announced his retirement, that they hadn't heard it yet, and they were, surprised. So I'm sure he's getting a lot of people reaching out to him, and stuff, which shows you the kind of respect that people have for him.
Oh, absolutely. And again, hopefully he's around to do some games with us.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear his perspective as the game is going on.
I would,
That's
too.
the one thing we don't know about Corey is, what's he going to say when he's not coaching? Or It's hard for coaches to step away that first year. They want to still...
Right.
They're in the games. They're coaching them as they go along.
Yeah, and I've pretty much told Corey anytime he wants to be on the radio, helping with a game or whatever, he's more than welcome. He's so knowledgeable, not just in basketball, but in every sport, and stuff.
He's out officiating softball a lot, things like that.
Absolutely, and he does, he runs the chains, helps with the chains down at Coon for football, and so he's around a lot of things. Yep.
Yeah, just the impact, I think, if you ask even non-athlete kids, what's the impact of Corey Meyer down there? And I think they're all going to say very nice things about it.
Does it for the right reasons. I always say that you can tell the coaches that did it right by how many of the kids still come back or talk to him, 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road. And he still plays basketball with the guys that he was coaching when he was first there 19 years ago. They still reach out to him all the time, and that's the impact that he had on their lives. So,
we've all seen coaches too that, they get a little big-headed.
Yes.
Let's face it. I mean, there's ego involved in winning and having winning programs like that. Corey was about as down to earth as you could possibly get.
Yep, absolutely. Brought up the right way. The only thing he struggles at is picking basketball games in the NCAA tournament.
Maybe that's why he's going to take the year and he's really going to study up for next year.
Yes, that could be. And
although he claims he's not going to do it next year.
Defend that two-time last place trophy. So
you can't walk away with the trophy, Corey. Come on, you gotta defend it by giving it to somebody else.
Absolutely. So one other quick thing, John. I don't know if you heard it in my morning sports, but on a whole different side, we got Corey stepping away. Casey Kaspabauer, leaving USD, has become the new head men's basketball coach at Upper Iowa. So congratulations to Casey, one of the absolute, if not the greatest player I've ever covered in my day. Absolutely right in that mix of one of the greatest players that I've ever covered. Yeah.
It's funny when you talk about a player on the court that is like a coach.
It's Casey.
Of course, his dad was a coach and the assistant coach for the Carroll Tigers for all those years. But Casey knew more about the game and how to play the game and how to approach each possession than just about anybody else.
Yeah. You and I have talked before. You love interviewing those kind of kids, after games because you'll feel like you're interviewing a coach, the way they break things down and the way they look at it. And I'll say the same thing about him that they say about Corey. He's going to do it the right way because he's a terrific person. It's always fun catching up with him when you get the opportunity because he's just a really good human being.
Yeah, he's got a new baby with Lindsay Schultz, or Lindsay
now Lindsay Kasperbauer, yep.
So is Terry moving back?
I'm hoping so.
He moved to Sioux Falls to be closer to Casey, and now I'm like, he's moving down the way. And so Terry, come on back. You can help us with the broadcast.
Absolutely. We'd love to have Terry back. I miss having him on broadcast with us because I don't know if there's anybody more knowledgeable about anything than Terry.
Yeah. Absolutely. So hit and miss as far as spring sports so far. We got to get a little bit in on this. But, it's been either really nice or really not very nice.
Yeah, I think the rest of this week's going to be good. But hopefully. Yesterday, all of our track meets postponed. Almost all of our golf meets postponed. We only had, I think, 2 that got in yesterday.
That wind was brutal.
Yeah, it was. We were Mason and I were out at the Kemper girls tennis match for a while yesterday, and that wind was a little bit cool, but they played really well. The Kemper girls and boys tennis teams are looking outstanding. ESAC boys soccer undefeated. Carroll boys soccer suffered their first loss. I think the ICAM man and girls and boys track teams are running and competing really well. Coon Rapids Bayard boys and girls are going to be really good this year. South Central Calhoun boys were our team of the week a week ago. Mason, any other groups or teams or kids you can think of right now?
I mean, obviously, Trayvon from Peyton Chardin going to contend for that title for high jump this year. And I think a lot of our local teams, like I said before, are just kind of surprising in the fact that there's no outliers when it comes to being, like, really good or, like, in the middle. We're kind of all just there being good.
Yeah, and Tristan Gordon, too. She's been at 2 meets and won the shot and disc in both of those meets. So she's off to a tremendous start this season as well.
So busy day coming up today. Hopefully everything gets in.
Yeah, it sounds like it will. I haven't gotten any text messages. I think the day going to be weather-wise pretty good, up in the 50s for temperatures. So
upper 50s. I mean, not so bad with the wind, southeast winds.
Yep, so we'll take that. So.
Yeah, where are you guys going to be at for the day today?
We're both going to, I think, run up to the track meet. There's not a lot of things that are like local and home tonight, so I think we're both going to run up to the track meet in Lake City for a while, grab some video interviews, and then we're going to try to get back for the doubleheader of the Kemper soccer games tonight as they're hosting. I think it was Lewis Central, if memory serves me correct. For the girls, we'll be at first at 6th, and then the boys will follow. So we're going to run up to Lake City for a while and then try and get back to town here for the soccer games. So.
Well timed to get back into the press box.
Yes.
By the time the sun starts going down.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Later on tonight. You got a special interview for us. Tell us who we got coming up.
We do. Lance Kleberg, former Coon Rapids Bayard Crusader, playing at Grandview, was part of their national championship football team this past fall. So got a chance to catch up with him. They have weights and team meetings at this time in the morning, and they can't miss them. So he was not available to join us this morning, so I caught up with him on Sunday and got a chance to catch that interview with him.
All right, that's coming up next here on KCIM Sports Rewind, brought to you by St. Anthony Regional Hospital.
As the athletes at your house prepare for hard work and fun of the season, remember that St. Anthony Rehab Services provides physical therapy for any sports injury that may sideline your member of the team. Sports injuries can plague kids of all ages and keep them from playing the sport they love. Athletes will be under the direct supervision of a certified and licensed healthcare professional in the newly renovated sports performance facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
Back here on KCM Sports Rewind on this Tuesday morning, joined here by a very special guest, a national champion, and Lance Kleberg, of course, playing football up at Grandview in Des Moines. They won the national championship earlier this fall. Of course, former Coon Rapids Bayard Crusader. Lance, appreciate you joining us here today. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Yeah, you bet. It's always a pleasure.
You bet. Hey, now I know it's probably not the first time you've been introduced as a national champion, but does that have kind of a nice ring to it?
Yeah, it's definitely nice to hear. It's fun. It's very fun.
So what was that season and especially that run through the postseason like? I mean, you guys knew going into the year you probably had a chance to be pretty special, but was it as what you thought it would be, or did you guys really feel like at the beginning of the year you could win the whole thing?
Yeah, I think that's always the plan. You know, I think we knew we had the talent, and it's all about putting the pieces together and figuring that out. So that's always the plan. And it wasn't a shock to everyone, but it definitely felt good to make it that far. Do what you can do type thing.
What was the early part of the season like? You guys kind of rolled through some teams. I know Benedictine put up 28 on you guys, but you put 52 on the board against them. So offensively, you guys looked really sharp this way it seemed early in the year.
Oh, yeah. It was a ton of fun. So our defense is usually really good compared to our offense anyways. And this was a year we really stepped it up and tried some new things with the offensive coordinator, and it ended up working out all right.
How did you like those changes? You're playing tight end now for anybody that didn't know. You were kind of a running back in high school, but had that, kind of the build and everything to be a tight end.
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment. I think even on top of a position adjustment, from 8-man to 11-man, it's almost like a culture shock, but it's good for a guy. It was fun. It was a fun challenge on top of everything else, and I very much enjoyed it.
Which transition was harder, going from 8-man to 11-man, or moving from a running back to more of that tight end position?
I would definitely say from 8-man to 11-man, and just the terminology. It's a lot to pick up on, and they put it on you pretty quick. So it was a fun challenge. It was definitely challenging.
Did you feel any pressure early in the season with that, or did you feel like they knew that it was going to be kind of a transition for you?
They're pretty understanding. They know I didn't play 11-man football, so I never really played the same game almost even. So they definitely have it in the back of their heads, but they also hold you to pretty high standards. So I think they have a mix of both, of understanding and then also expecting a lot out of you.
When did you feel like you started to gain the confidence in, that difference and kind of understood the 11-man game and the terminology?
I would say probably spring ball last year, so almost a year ago, like today, pretty much. Through the fall, I didn't really catch on to the learning curve quite yet, but once we hit spring ball of last year, at the end of spring ball last year, that's when it really started clicking.
People wonder about spring ball sometimes. How helpful is it to be able to go through a spring ball?
Yeah, spring ball is huge. That's really when you're working on your personal development, So like for fall, you're always game planning week by week, who you're going to be playing, what they do, how you can best match that. So you're not really working on like your base offense and your own personal growth. And then spring ball is when you can really focus on that and really get a lot better.
What's spring ball been like so far this year?
Physical. That's really all I have to describe it. It's good for you. It calluses you up good.
Do you feel like the coaches are maybe pushing a little harder this year, so there isn't that, sometimes there can be that mental relaxing after winning a national championship?
Oh, yeah, that's been a big focus, not only from the coaches, but from the leaders on the team as well. Everyone wants to go get the next one. We can't really take a back seat in this whole thing. So that's been a really big emphasis.
What's the biggest focus for you been this spring?
That's a good question. Probably just taking the weight room more seriously. Not that I don't take it seriously, but more like my sleeping habits and my eating habits and all of the above, just overall becoming a healthier person.
How much has that changed for you? Because you had to put on weight and muscle weight, to make that transition. I've seen you. You're a thicker, more muscular guy than you were when you were in high school.
Oh, yeah. They get you right. They put you on a meal plan, and they make sure you eat a certain amount of protein and a certain amount of whatever else a day. And they obviously want you at an ideal. So the best you can do to fit that, the better chances you have of playing.
How hard was that to transition to eating right and eating all the things they wanted you to do, and then to be up for weights all the time?
Oh, this is a challenge, just like anything else. But it's fun. It's just a whole new experience, So it's fun to try new things, and I very much enjoyed it.
Take me through that first catch you made this season. You made, I think it was 8 on the year overall, but, that first catch to know that you kind of got that first one out of the way.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a long time coming, so definitely felt good. And then, that's about all I got for that one. It felt good.
Which was your best game, do you think, this season?
Best game this season? Probably the last one. I mean, maybe not for personal performance, but just the most fun, I would say.
Take me through that. You kind of roll down there at North Carolina, beating Kaiser University 35-7 for the national championship. What was that experience like?
It was good. It was a ton of fun. You know, we don't usually get to take planes and whatever else to places. You know, so it was fun. We went down a couple of days early and got to experience some things, and yeah, it was a good time. We got to practice at Duke Stadium and all this and all that.
Beyond the football part, you know, what was maybe the favorite things that you got to visit or see while being down there?
Well, we walked through the Durham Bulls. I can't remember what minor league team they're for, but we got to tour their facility, and it was just pretty cool to see all of that. You know, something other than football. We got to go tour a baseball facility, so that was cool. And then we did like a player panel, which was kind of neat, where both teams came together in like an auditorium, and a couple of the guys talked. Like I think our quarterback Waring, he talked for us, and then a linebacker for them talked, and it was just cool.
Let's talk the championship game. Kind of take me through it. You guys jumped out, I think, early in that one. So how did that game play out for you guys?
Oh, well. I mean, yeah. Well, I can't remember the final score, but yeah, we handled business pretty good. We were never really on the edge of our seats, which is just how you draw it up, you know?
Yeah, you won.
But, yeah.
You won 35-7, by the way, so an easy one. That was probably the biggest road trip, as you mentioned. You guys don't get up, take planes or anything very often to most of your games. They're drivable on a bus. But where was your favorite place to play this year? Was it that game, or was it a different facility that you really enjoy playing at?
I think it just has to be that game. The whole experience. You know, it's just unlike any of the other ones. I mean, don't get me wrong, the other ones are all very, very much fun. And we played on some really nice fields, but I just don't think you can put anything above the last one. There's a sweetness to it.
How much of your family was able to make the trip down there and enjoy that with you?
Mom and Dad, and then Grandma and Grandpa made it. And then, Malia and Breeley, they made it as well. So that was pretty special for me to have all of them here and support, and it was very nice to have them there.
What's that like? You guys are such a tight-knit family. We're talking here on a Sunday afternoon, and I'm interrupting some family time as you're back at home spending time with family.
No.
So what's that like, to be in such a tight-knit group as with a family?
It's huge. Family's everything to me, just like it's always been. So it's just huge. It's a very big part of my life, and yeah, that's all I got to say.
Let's talk about the college stuff for you. How's classes going? What have you figured out a major? What are you studying right now?
School's going great. It's very good. I really enjoy my classes. I'm just getting into like the meat and potatoes pretty much. You know, you go in freshman years, gen eds and psychology and all this and all that. But I'm starting to get into more business like major courses, which is fun for me because that's really what I'm interested in.
You said you were double majoring. What are you double majoring in?
Finance and management. Yep.
Okay. What's the plans for the summer for you?
The summer, I'm probably gonna work back home, do quite a bit of lifting, and then maybe catch you at a couple softball and baseball games.
Well, that sounds like a plan. Maybe we'll get you on the broadcast with us for that, turn you into a radio major as well. But you talk about that. Malia's still in school, going to be wrapping up her career here in another year. But do you get a chance to kind of follow, what Coon Rapids Bayard is doing, and especially, Coach Meyer and Coach Moore and their teams?
Oh, yeah. It's a bunch of fun. Cal and Ty, so obviously they're my cousins. They're still playing baseball. And then Malia with softball, it'll be all fun to watch. It'll be fun to bounce around a little bit.
Well, Lance, I appreciate you joining us here today. Congratulations again on a great start to your career there at Grandview. We wish you the best of luck and hoping to keep in touch with you throughout your career there. So we wish you the best of luck and appreciate you joining us here today.
Sounds good, Jeff. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate it as well.
You bet. Again, Lance Clayberg again from the Grandview joining us here again. We'll be back with more KCIM Sports Rewind here on KCIM.
And son of a gun, we're back. We're all ready. Look at that. No waiting around for this.
Yes.
So we were chatting while everybody was listening to that interview about the coaching situation around the area. And some of the veteran coaches that we have, they're all boys. Most of them are boys basketball coaches. One girls basketball coach that kind of in that 20-year range. bunch, I would say.
Yeah, Todd Bontrager at ESAC, Clive Clark at South Central Calhoun, Keith Wagner at ICAM Manning, all on the boys' side, and then Gene Rasmussen of ICAM Manning on the girls' side are the only coaches that we have that have probably been at their places for like 12 years or more. I know we've got a few that are in that 10-year, or area
Verging
or whatever.
on
But
10,
so those are by far the four with the longest tenures, and hopefully I get, several more years out of them. I keep teasing them all the time that I have a date where I'm looking at, stepping away, but and hopefully they stay that long, but I don't know if any of them will.
Yeah, it's very unique for ICAM Manning to have two coaches that have been there as long as Gene and Keith.
Yeah, absolutely, and two really good guys. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So Corey Meyer, once again, he will be missed, but I have a feeling we're going to catch up with Corey here pretty soon.
Yep.
We'll make him come. He loves doing radio interviews.
Yeah.
I know he does.
Already been in contact with him. We're trying to get something set up. He can't join us live next week here on Rewind because of the class schedule that he teaches down there, but we'll get him on.
By the way, we did have a bracket challenge amongst the people here at the radio station, and our champion, I hate to say it, Jeff Blankman over there. All right, so got to give you your props for that one. So you won actually, it shocked me because Pete actually came up with a prize.
Yes.
For you. And I finished second in that poll, so we expressed our dominance over the rest of the staff and our sports knowledge there.
Kind of kicked everybody's tail. And it wasn't even close the way it sounds.
All the rest of you people, pay attention to who knows their stuff.
Yes, and I'm going to blame me not winning the men's bracket challenge with the coaches on Rewind here on Doug Waniger, because if he wouldn't have contacted me on the Sunday that Michigan State and Tennessee lost and told me that how well I was doing and everything, and told me how well I would do if those two would have won, they would have won, and then I'd have clinched everything.
Put the kiss of death on you right there.
Yes.
That is KCIM Sports Rewind for this week. Once again, we'll be back next Tuesday morning, 9:30, right here on KCIM.